All right, it's Monday. We got a heck of a show for you. A lot to get to.
Yeah.
Got what's probably going to be the last game of the NBA season tonight with the Nuggets hosting the Heat. Who knows, though, the way that Miami kind of goes against all odds, but they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. We got Josh Pate joining us at 7:30 a.m. Central as well to talk a ton of college football. Phone lines open at 7 this morning. We're going to get to them earlier. Typically, they don't open till about 7:15, and we hop on at 7:30, but we're going to move it up because we got Josh on. And then college baseball everywhere. A couple teams already in Omaha. Got a couple more we got to take care of today. But I didn't know if I was going to be able to talk this morning because Saturday night, my dog, I went down to pet one of my dogs, not Millie. She doesn't possess enough strength, but she does possess enough beauty. But another one of my dogs jumped up and hit me in the mouth, and I almost thought I bit my tongue off. The side of it. Woke up the next morning, it was so swollen I could barely talk. And, you know, that's like a hand model screwing up his hand.
Yeah. Dogs will be dogs.
Dogs will be dogs, but scribbled a bunch of warm salt water and then got some fruit ice pops. God, I hadn't had a fruit ice pop in so long. I forgot how good they were. Got peach and pineapple. It's like I worked at a dessert shop on a tropical island. This was really nice. Y'all ready to get it going?
Love it.
All right. The Denver Nuggets look to close out the Heat for their first NBA championship. Josh Pate at 247 Sports is going to join us to talk everything college football. And Novak Djokovic sets a new record for men's tennis. He is the GOAT in my eyes. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to the Monday edition of Crane & Company. The Denver Nuggets are one win away from their first ever NBA title, and while that would obviously be historic, there's a bigger question, I think, that follows. Can this team become the next dynasty in the NBA? We've seen a couple here lately. And when you look at all the variables like age of players, contract situations, and really just overall team culture, the answer is yes. There are only two meaningful contributors who are 30 years old or over. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is 30, and Jeff Green is a few years younger than Bilbo Baggins, but everyone else looks to have at least 3 to 5 more strong years in them. Now, they don't have to go out and add a bunch of pieces, and they've done it with only 2 lottery picks, plus the team-first philosophy and their style of play. It lets multiple guys shine and spreads the love. Now, the Nuggets have built their roster in one of the best ways you possibly can. And it shows through how they really don't care who gets the credit, only that the team gets the win. Now, the Joker is without a doubt the best basketball player on the planet right now. I don't think anybody can refute that. And it's not like he's going to get worse or forget. Now, Jamal Murray is a walk-in bucket who seems to elevate to the moment, and their supporting cast would sweep the Academy Awards for their supporting roles. Their key ingredient, and the most important, however, to their success, is that there's no drama. The Nuggets can actually focus on basketball. Nobody's out there getting arrested or flashing guns to try and be cool or pretending to read books they haven't read or creating issues within the locker room. This group just focuses on playing good basketball. And their head coach, Mike Malone, has the respect and he can get after them when he needs to. We saw that after game 2. Now, they're an anomaly in the professional sports world today when it comes to actually being about the team and not the individual. I think the Heat are in that same category. And all their main superstar cares about is riding horses and dropping triple doubles. I don't even think the dude has a cell phone. To put it plainly, this team is damn near perfect. And if they can put this first ring in the bank, don't be shocked if they go to Jared a lot more in the near future. I'm going to go and bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. Guys, you know, we look around society nowadays, especially in professional sports, and a lot of it is based on the individual, especially in sports where an individual can win games, like in basketball and in baseball. But the Nuggets, they seem to just show up and be about their business. No guys out there trying to score 60 points. They make the right decision with the ball. It doesn't matter if it's Aaron Gordon, who has the big night. Joker seems to have the big night every night. But, I mean, it seems to be that everybody contributes and they just want to win, which is a breath of fresh air in my eyes.
No doubt. I love the fact you pointed out that there's no drama with this team, because that makes it easy to root for them. You know, we think like, oh, the more superstars that are on a basketball team, the more chances you have a lot of people to pull for that team. But I actually like pulling for a team that has no drama. The only problem is the Miami Heat are very similar to me. So I like both of these teams, and I'd like for the Miami Heat to come back and really make this thing an interesting series. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 16 hours the Denver Nuggets really close this thing out in 5, which I think you had this whole time, Blaine. As far as the dynasty, I mean, they're going to have to win a couple before we start talking about dynasty. I think it's too early to start talking about that. You got to get at least 3 in my eyes. But with how young the team is, I don't know. I mean, I think that they could be headed for that.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here saying that it's a guarantee. There are no guarantees. It's so hard to win, at the high level of anything. But when you looked at a team like the Warriors, who were able to do it. Now, the Heat and kind of what they did it a different way with the big three, as we mentioned. But again, if you look at just the way it lines up, the Nuggets are in as good as a position to do it as possible. You look at Michael Porter Jr., who was one of the 2 lottery picks. Jamal Murray was another one. But even the role players, young guys, Christian Brown, guys like that, it just seems to me like the Nuggets players, they enjoy playing with each other. They enjoy playing under the philosophy that Mike Malone has. And Blaine, when you're looking at the future of the NBA, with LeBron's career, eventually has to kind of wind down. You look at the rest of the West, what's going on with the Grizzlies right now is a problem. Now, I know you look over there with Giannis and the Bucks and what they're going to be able to do out of the East and then the Knicks, but just looking at the West and the NBA in general, I mean, the Nuggets seem to be positioned to, at least if they're not going to be a dynasty, be a legitimate problem for a long time in the league.
I think the Nuggets will always be in the conversation, especially when we get late when it comes to the NBA, because, I mean, if you keep Jamal Murray and you keep Jokic around, you're always going to have a chance. Jokic right now is, what you said, the best player in the NBA. I do like the pieces you have in Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. I mean, Caldwell Pope will probably, I don't know if he'll be part of this team next year, but he's been a good piece. And you got to love the way the Coach Malone runs their system, right? If you really go look through the stats of who Denver is, they're the best passing team in the NBA. Even with Jokic, as good as a player as he is, he's not a what? He's not a selfish player, right? He can put points up, but he's not going to go out of his way to score 35 plus points, shoot it 20 times a game. He's just not. He's going to make the what? The right basketball play. Jamal Murray, an unselfish point guard, which is great to see, who's also a bucket walking around. So I think to push them over the edge, I would love for them to get one more big piece. Right? One more big piece to come in, because I feel like you need 3, right? If you want to become a dynasty, to have staying power, you're going to need 3. Because Jokic, right now, you got to think he's been healthy, which I mean, he did bang his ankle up a little bit last game, but he's been healthy. Jamal Murray has been healthy throughout his career, no drama, but things won't be perfect all the time. So if you get one more piece, because it's not, in my opinion, it's not easy in the NBA with the Giannis's, with the Celtics, with the teams and the athletic and just the athletes that are walking around on the basketball court. It's not going to be easy to become a dynasty. So I think you're going to need more than 2 pieces, right? And I think Coach Malone knows that. I think this year, I think it's going to be done today. It's going to be over. The Nuggets will win this series after they're 9-point favorite. But I do think to have staying power, if you want to start talking about dynasties, all right, you need at least 3, Cone. I agree with you, but you're going to need at least 3 on the basketball court when it comes to superstars.
Well, Jamal Murray coming off that ACL injury was huge to be able to come back. And we know the ACL coming back nowadays is a lot different than it used to be. But when we talk about pushing them over the edge, I would more I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to continue to get better. I think Aaron Gordon is a matchup nightmare when you have a player like Jokic and Murray. And yes, I think they're the best passing team, but I think they're the best decision-making team. That's what I think separates the Nuggets, is they make the right play, it seems, every possession. Defensively, are they the best team in the league? No, but they understand who they are. They're not getting beat on cuts. I mean, they're backdooring the Heat more than Julian Assange with WikiLeaks right now when it comes down to it offensively. But I would almost be under, the auspices of, I don't want to go in and bring in another huge piece, because I don't want to mess with the flow of what you have right now. I think that's their strength, is that you have the best player on the planet. Like you said, he has been healthy in Jokic. We'll see how that goes. He's 28 years old right now. But when you look at the way this team is made up, I like Christian Brown. I think Michael Porter Jr. is a guy that's going to continue to get better. He's a great rebounder. He's a guy, him and Aaron Gordon, I think that's been one subtle difference in this series, is their ability to rebound at that position because of their size and their strength. So I'm almost, if I'm Mike Malone, I want to run this back. Like, I want to run this team back. They're only going to get better. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, by the way, I think leads the NBA in games played. You talk about a guy that may be older, but the best ability is availability. And when you look at the game tonight, it's very simple when you preview it. If the bench does not score more for the Heat, they are going to lose. That's just what's cost them the last 2 games. Strus and Vincent didn't score a point in the first half last game. Jimmy Butler, I thought, played pretty well. I thought did everything that he could do. When Kevin Love, and I think Kevin's a fantastic player. I think he's a Hall of Famer. But if old Kevin Love is the one out there trying to save you, you're not going to win this series at all. And the Nuggets may win by 25 or even more if the bench doesn't show up tonight, because that place is going to be nuts.
And still looking for that iconic playoff Jimmy buckets game. 45 plus points is kind of what we've been waiting on this series. In terms of like the Nuggets adding another piece, if they win the NBA Finals in 5 games after sweeping the Lakers and really only dropping 2 to the Suns.
Well, it's 1 home playoff game.
Yeah, then my first thought isn't, oh, well, this team needs to get another piece, like what Blaine's talking about. But at the same time, you can't get complacent, right, and rest on your laurels. You have to continue to draft well, which I think the Golden State Warriors have been at the pinnacle of this. They've kept that core together, when you look at Steph, Clay, and Draymond, but then always seem to be able to get another piece here or there. Kevin Durant comes in, win a championship. Okay, now he's gone. Bring Andrew Wiggins, former number 1 overall pick. Bring a Jordan Poole and continue to draft well. Can the Nuggets continue to do that if they keep this core together and continue this domination? And then who are the role players that they continue to add? Because, like you said, Giannis in the East isn't going anywhere. I don't think we've heard the last of Steph and Clay and the Golden State Warriors. So it's going to be hard to win no matter what core you keep together.
Well, it's what we're talking about dynasties, right? That's what we're talking about.
So what would you consider?
When you brought up the Warriors have what? Warriors have 3, right? They have 3 All-Stars: Clay, Steph, and Draymond. I'm saying, and they're considered a dynasty. I just don't think Jokic and Murray are going to have to be so healthy every year, because you're leaning on those guys. Michael Porter Jr. is a good player. You still have a lot of room to grow. Has not shown up in this final series whatsoever at all. Aaron Gordon had a phenomenal game last game. 27 points.
He's had a phenomenal series.
Yeah, I would say phenomenal series, but he had a phenomenal game. He's had a good series. 27 points last game, which is phenomenal. And Jokic had 25 at Heat. If you're ever going to win a game, it's probably that last one. But I do think to really become a dynasty in the NBA, right, you're going to need at least 3, in my opinion, or 2 guys who are going to have to stay out of trouble and stay weirdly healthy throughout their career. I really do. Because, let's go look at the Sixers, right? Embiid. Not saying healthy, but playing phenomenal. James Harden. I thought had a great year. You don't have what? You don't have enough. To become a dynasty, you need 3 legitimate guys on that court day in and day out. If you don't have that, it's going to be hard for me to rely on the Nuggets role players to come through to be a dynasty. I know this year's been great, and I know they're going to win the championship after tonight. But if we're talking about 3, I think you need 3 on the court.
Yeah, I just think, philosophically, and it's what's available, right? It's like what the market bears. It's what's out there. But yeah, again, I think philosophically, I do think it's a very interesting argument, and we'll see. Who knows? You never know in the NBA. This tree Victor Wembanyama could come in and just absolutely change the way that the game's played. He's 13 feet tall. He's trying to find his dad in New York right now, like Buddy the Elf. But speaking about drafting or looking around or browsing, all right, if you're looking for a car, okay, your dream car, you need to go to carzing.com/booster today, because you want to be prepared, right? You don't want to just walk in there and be able to get fooled or have no idea what you're talking about. We all know buying a new car can be a stressful experience for everyone, especially if you're a first-time buyer or you have no credit. We know the economy is not exactly rolling right now, but before you walk into a dealership and spend the entire day with crowds and stress and the potential to not even find the right car, you need to check out Carzing. That's carzing.com/booster today. It'll help you skip the guesswork and find the best deals near you. You can instantly pre-qualify online without affecting your credit score. That's huge. They're changing the way you buy a car online, and they provide you with everything you need before stepping foot into a dealership. It is the best way to get prepared, because, Cone, you talk about this all the time. A car, that's one of the biggest investments and purchases you're going to make. You look at car, house, things like that. You better know what you're doing.
Yep, no doubt. And there's a trust factor that's important. So with Carzing, that's what I'm looking at with that. Like you said, after a house, what's the bigger thing you're going to buy than a car?
Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming sometimes. That's why we're excited to partner with Carzing.
Yeah, so go to carzing.com/booster today, like I said, to skip the guesswork and find the best deals near you. That's Carzing. booster. That's BOOSTER if you're not spelling bee qualified there out there in the audience first. What do we got in the Booster Club?
All right, let's get to some donations here. Let's go to Old War Skull 88, $2 donation. Says, how about them Tigers? Go Tigers, Omaha bound, baby.
Yep, gonna get to it. Gonna get to everything that went down in the Supers so far. Still got a little bit left tonight.
Let's go to Thomas Briscoe Jr., $10 donation. Thomas, thank you. He says, Lord willing, Friday, I will try to call in.
Yes.
I have a what year is it question for you. What
like
time are today's calls?
Yes, the line's open at 7. All right, the line's open literally in 15 minutes. We're going to start taking those around 7:10 because Josh Pate's coming on at 7:30. We want to have a deep dive into college football with him.
Ryan Gade, $5 donation. Ryan, appreciate it, brother. He says, thanks to the Astros, Braves, Orioles, and the Mets. Hit a 4-legger on Saturday, plus 977 to win the Hyundai piece.
You love
Ryan,
to see
good for
it.
you, brother.
You
Good for
love
you.
to see it.
Let's go to Brock McNeil. Brock, what's up, man? $10 donation. Ask the boys for some big-time advice this weekend on IG and receive some great advice. Unfortunately, Conan's not answered yet. It's fine. Conan's a busy man. He has 2 children, 2 infants. I seriously appreciate it so much. Hashtag trust the signs. Hashtag men of the people.
Look,
Appreciate
we give
it,
out
Brock.
great sports advice. We give out even better dating advice. So
let's go to Texas Ed. Hashtag Ask Crane and Company. What was better, the squeeze player or watching one game and following the others? Do you have a certain player from baseball this weekend that you enjoyed?
Man, yeah. I mean, there's multiple ones. I mean, look, Paul Skeens from LSU to me is the best pitcher in the country. I'm going to get to my best and worst on the other end. But, Wake Forest's whole program in general, I mean, they're fun to watch. I will say Squeeze Play, what he's talking about, is a channel that lets you watch multiple college baseball games at once. Absolutely fantastic. You feel like the architect from The Matrix watching it. And there's some fantastic baseball this weekend. If you like offense, you got offense. If you like pitching, you got some pitching. We got a lot of weather delays. I'm going to get to that too. But again, college baseball, man, high-level college baseball as we're getting ready for Omaha here. I do want to give a shout-out to Eric Ham. Sent a Women's College World Series hat. Got one I'm going to bring to the set this week. Really excited about that. Remember, you can send stuff in. We'll put it on the set, add it to the wall of trust and friendship and the shelf of friendship, which, again, you get on the shelf of friendship. You're already in the trust tree, okay? But this one gets you up into the branches, and we'll love you forever. But having said that, let's go ahead and get to a little best and worst.
Okay, best and worst. What do you guys got?
All right, let's start. You want to start out with best? Let's start with best. TCU's pitching staff. Okay, TCU, before the Supers on here, I picked them to win it. I know it's hard to go against Wake right now, but just how good has this pitching staff been? In a world where there's a ton of runs scored in college baseball, they haven't given up double-digit runs in a game since April 23rd against West Virginia. Okay, these guys, and it's not like it's 8 runs or 9 runs. It's go look back at the regional. I don't think they gave up over 5-6 runs in a game. You look this past weekend, they didn't give up over 5 runs in a game. At the end of the day, just like in most sports, defense travels, pitching travels. And TCU right now, as a pitching staff, they were rested going into the Supers. What they're able to do against Arkansas not helps when you score 20 runs in the first game, including 14 in the first. But TCU's pitching staff continues to put them in a position to win every single game. It's been a ton of fun to watch them. My second best, Amanda Nunez retiring, going out on top. I know Pena was hurt, had a rib problem. The Aldina came in, she was beaten. But the thing I probably like about this the most, and I consider Amanda Nunez the greatest female UFC fighter. She has the most UFC wins, most division wins. But now that she's retiring, the UFC women's featherweight division is probably done. There's not a ton of depth there, but they asked her what she wanted to do. And you see this with a lot of people that love the game they play and love the sport they play. She's going to take a little bit of time, go back home, and then she wants to come back and coach. And she wants to give other females a chance to follow in her footsteps. Not Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird let a bunch of dudes fight in the UFC for women, but actual girls. So shout out to Amanda Nunez. Unbelievable career. Did it the right way. And we've seen Ronda Rousey, we've seen Holly Holm, we've seen some legends, but in my eyes, Amanda Nunez, the greatest UFC women's fighter ever, retired. Hell of a career. Dana White said he hopes to see her back at some point, but totally understands with the amount of money she's made, the amount of success she's had. So congrats, Amanda.
Definitely a great career. My best, I'm going to go with Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
He won the French Open in straight sets on Sunday to capture his 23rd major championship all time. That moves him one ahead of Rafael Nadal for the most ever on the men's side of things. And what the most incredible part of this is not just how he's rolling through guys, but he seems to just get better with age, you know? And now you have Rafael Nadal, who's going to be sidelined for the rest of the year after hip surgery, Roger Federer, who's recently retired, and Djokovic now will be able to play in the U.S. Open again now that COVID custom laws have changed. So really there's little standing in the way between Djokovic and continued major championship domination. It just really is incredible. So 23, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy got to 20.
You know, I want to ask something. Let's think about this weekend. And, you know, when you look at Joker in the vaccine situation and the time that he had to sit out, I'm not saying that was a good thing, but as a guy that's aging, do you think that maybe added a little bit of length to his career? I mean, you look at Nadal, I know they're not exactly the same age, but do you think that may have added a couple more years of being dominant? Not just competing, but being dominant, because he kind of did get to rest his body a little bit.
I don't think the rest factor had as much to do with it as a man who has stood by his principles is just invigorized to like go out and continue to dominate the sport. That's been the biggest thing to me. Now, Rafael Nadal is a little bit different in that he plays every single point as hard as he possibly can, and that has led to injuries. Not every tennis player does that. When you're down 1-5 in a set, you go ahead and lose that and get ready for the next one. Nadal's trying to come back and win that. So I don't know if the rest factor had as much to do with it as much as Novak Djokovic got to say, oh, the entire world is against me for my beliefs. And that just like put a chip on his shoulder and helped galvanize him. My second best look at, I'm going to go to the NHL. It has to be the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very serious championship hockey team right here. They've gone up 3-1 on the Florida Panthers. That one in Miami winning 3-2. Even afterward, you could see how chippy it was getting the second that it ended with the Panthers had pulled for the empty net and pulled the goalie, trying to come back and tie that thing to force overtime, which they almost did. Yeah. They almost scored that goal at the very end. But the Golden Knights seem to always keep their composure, even on away ice. Now they're going to bring this thing back to Vegas and try and close it out. They're really as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Well, as right as I was about the NBA series, I was literally that as much right as I was wrong about the hockey series when I really took the Panthers. Right now, the Golden Knights just look like the more physical and better team, which I am surprised by. But still, you got to shout out for the Panthers. My first best today is going to be the Oklahoma softball team. I don't know if you saw, they got a question asked, and the answer that really ESPN did not want. You won't see this on the headlines at ESPN. This is not about a men and women's sports or LGBTQ plus 7 divided by 8 situation. It's not. So let's go ahead and run this video and this question. Big shout out to Pate Gasso and just the way she carries her team. And you can see by the way the leaders answered this question.
Well, the only way that you can have a joy that doesn't fade away is from the Lord. And any other type of joy is actually happiness that comes from circumstances and outcomes. I think Coach has said this before, but joy from the Lord is really the only thing that can keep you motivated, just in a good mindset, no matter the outcomes. Thankfully, we've had a lot of success this year, but if it was the other way around, joy from the Lord is the only thing that can keep you embracing those memories, moments, friendships, and all of that.
What an answer right there by Greg. One of the best answers in interviews I've seen in a long time. You're not going to see this on ESPN. This is not about Brittany Griner or anything like that. If it was, it'd be a headline, but I really think they need to get a shout out and get a lot of love. And I think Pate Gasso, too. My second best, it's got to be the Wake Forest Demon Deacons when it comes to baseball. I watched this game against Alabama. They hit 9 home runs.
They were like the evil clowns
in one game.
On Slugfest.
One of the kids broke the records for amount of home runs in the season, or tied the records for 70. It's just, they're ridiculous right now. Their pitching's phenomenal. I've never seen that many home runs got hit in one game. It tied the amount of home runs in a game when it comes to playoff baseball. So it was fun to watch. Alabama, it's tough. I mean, you got to think Wake Forest has scored 20 twice. They've had like 70-plus runs in the last 5 games, which is unheard of. You never see that. They're swinging the sticks right now. I think it's going to come down between them and LSU.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people, making fun of Bama getting destroyed like that. I want to tip my hat to the Alabama baseball program for what they went through this year to even get to this point. I don't know if anybody's beating Wake Forest. And look, 22-5 is an ass beating of a lifetime. I'll be the first one to tell you in baseball. But to go through what that team went through, your head coach getting fired, caught up in a betting scandal, you could have just mailed it in. You could have mailed it in the era of the transfer portal. You could have had the whole team jump in the transfer portal, and they had an excuse to not succeed or not do well or not compete or not fight, but that's not what they did. They circled the wagons. They ended up winning the regional in kind of crazy fashion late a couple times. You went and ran into a buzzsaw Wake Forest, but instead of making fun of them, I want to tip my cap to the Alabama baseball program for finishing out the season and playing the game the way the game's supposed to be played in an era and a society where people are always trying to find the easy way out. Alabama did not do that, and I want to make sure and tip my cap to them. My worst one, the Heat bench / the mascot. Okay, if you didn't see this, Conor McGregor, okay, at the NBA Finals was doing some like advertisement at halftime for some like pain-free spray. He's supposed to get in some like fake fight with the mascot. So he ends up getting in a fight with the mascot and sending the mascot to the ER. Let's go ahead and play this video. The first punch is funny. The second one, man, it just feels personal. Let's go ahead and run this clip. See the mascot out here. Hey, we're just having fun. Pain-free spray. Boom! Left to the face. Then the one on the ground. That just feels awful personal. Like the first one, all right. So apparently this guy, as they're dragging him off the court, you know, like he just pissed off the king or something and during a medieval time. The second one, dude, I mean, guys, I've seen fake fights. That was somewhat vicious.
He went to the ER?
Yeah, the mascot had to go to the ER. The person in the...
This was staged?
It was supposed to be like, a mess around fight.
Nah, that wasn't messing around.
But like, I don't know if somebody said something about somebody's mama or what went on.
Okay, first of all, mascot, if you said anything about Conor McGregor's mom, you should be in the ER because you're an idiot. Second of all, Conor, I mean, how much is Conor weighing right now?
I don't know.
Goodness gracious. I mean, is he coming back to fight? What is he, 230? Conor McGregor at 230 is deathly scary to me.
I don't care if you're in a mascot suit or
like, are we positive this man went to the ER? Can we get
yes.
Was it concussion? What was it?
You know, he went to,
a lot of
I think it's a PR.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, there's a write-up.
Conor looking good in the tracksuit, though.
That was a decent looking tracksuit. Looks like he's wearing velour. My second one, weather delays, okay, in college baseball. Look, this shout out to my boy Matt Moscona. I get if there's lightning in the area. I get it. Swinging bats, okay? It's not smart. Let's delay the game. I get if it is pouring down rain, okay? Absolutely pouring, you can't play, dangerous to run on the field and stuff like that. But the fact that we're delaying games because rain is coming, I mean, Matt Moscona is doing a video, you know, in Baton Rouge or wherever, during this long delay for LSU Kentucky in Game 1 of the Supers, hanging out by his pool in the sun, doing a video. At some point, a little rain is okay. Guess what? If the rain's coming, it's not here yet. All right, we have got to stop being so soft with some of these weather delays. We all know when there should be a weather delay. You're not fooling anybody. So I think we should create a position in college athletics. The weather spokesman / official, okay? And it needs to be Jim Cantori. Because if anybody knows about going out in crazy weather, okay, and understanding how to play through it, it's our guy Jimmy Cantz from the Weather Channel. All right, but all these soft, oh no, it's gonna rain. Oh, we can't play the game because it's gonna rain in an hour and a half. Grow up. Some of y'all are so unbelievably soft. Play the damn game. It's my second one.
Safety first, bud. Didn't they end up winning by 30 runs against Kentucky?
It was like every other one. I'm like, man, is this storm just sweeping the entire country here?
Like you'd have thought it was Independence Day. Like there was like some alien ship circling all the regionals and super regionals. Play until you can't.
It's been great baseball so far. My worst and the first one is Nick Merckx. I don't know if y'all saw this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nick Merckx tweeted over a situation that happened in California that where the Pride Month inside of a school that involved, 3 arrests. It was a brawl outside the school, and the only thing he did was tweet, you need to leave the little kids out of this. Leave the little children alone. And what did Activision and Call of Duty do? They took his bundle off of the main page that you can buy and basically try to exile Nick Merckx, who has a huge following. He's built a nice community. There's always toxicity when it comes to gaming, just the way it is. But now you're seeing other streamers line up in the same way. And Tim the Tech Man asked Call of Duty to take his bundle off. Dr. Disrespect, who's also an athlete, 6'8", 40-inch vertical. If you don't know Doc, you do know now. But it's the two-time, exactly. But it's amazing, how when you just say, leave little kids out of this. Like, I don't care what you do as an adult right? There's certain levels of freedom that you get. But when you start indoctrinating kids and taking them to a different level, when I was this age, this is the last thing you ever cared about. You didn't care about politics in school, man. You just wanted to go outside, have fun time with the boys at lunch. But just imagine the amount of wokeness is bleeding into the fingers of this country, and it's come to gaming. But I tell you this, Call of Duty will learn very quickly. Right now, no one's playing their game anyways, right? When it comes to Activision, have they made a hell of a lot of money? For sure. They'll be fine if no one ever plays their game again. But you're seeing, like, it's the Bud Light effect. It's what it is. People and big streamers coming to what is common sense. And Nick Merckx saying, just leave the little kids out of this. So my worst, Tim the Tap Man, Nick Merckx, good for you, standing strong, standing for what you believe in. And the fact that they did this all over a tweet of just leaving children at the entire Pride Month thing tells you where the status is in gaming. So right now, just like you boycotted Bud Light, just like you boycotted Target, do not play Call of Duty. Don't even pick it up. I hadn't played it in over a year. The game's trash. The people who make it are trash, and they don't want the right thing for you. So that's my first.
How is that? How is saying leave the little kids alone anti?
So that's a gamer?
Yes, Nick Merckx, yeah.
And he tweeted this, or he said it in the game?
Tweeted it. No, he tweeted after he saw the fight that happened in the school in California. There was basically a brawl outside of an elementary school with 3 arrests, and it's just why. The fact, that's what worries me the most, is the fact that they're so focused on children.
And then Call of Duty did what?
They took, so you get a bundle, right? So you can buy skins for operators, right? And it looks just like Nick Merckx.
Buy skins?
Yeah.
You can catch David Cohn's Get Off My Lawn segment.
You can buy skins that looks just like Nick. It's a serious-ass conversation. This isn't something to joke around with. I mean, I'm saying it's about him tweeting about kids, a guy who's worked his ass off his whole life to build a huge following, build a nice community, and just to get it taken down by probably a bunch of little punks over at Activision just tells you what it is. The cool thing about it to me is you see all the big streamers behind him coming to back him up, all right? So not everybody's like this. And my second worst, I don't know if it's you saw, and this is not an entirely bad thing to me, is Megan Rapinoe on Sue Bird. Megan Rapinoe said, I quote, congratulations on like arguably the best career that anyone has ever had in the history of any sport ever.
What?
He's talking about Sue Bird. If you don't know who Sue Bird, which 70% you probably don't, she played women's basketball. That's what she did. She had a great career. She has a lot of accomplishments, a lot of team accolades, which is great. But when you say anyone that has had ever had the best history of any career in any sport ever, Sue Bird averaged 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists. Okay? I could do that if I go in the WNBA. If I did that in the WNBA right now, it'd be a letdown.
I'll take Caitlin Clark right now.
For sure. But I'm saying great career, Sue. Megan, what delusional world do you live in? At one point, you have to come back to reality. Sue Bird doesn't have the greatest career, not even top 50, probably realistic if you look at it. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. has better numbers than her. He's been in the league for like 2 years.
Yeah.
All right, so absolute joke.
It's fake.
Megan Rapinoe, I think there's bigger things you need to worry about. And right now, I know Sue Bird's cool, but it's about to be Brandon Duncan in there dropping 50.
Yeah, that's
the way it is. So we need to keep a work on keeping women in women's sports. That's my worst.
Isn't that her wife? Or her girlfriend?
Yeah, whatever.
Her partner,
it's her fiance.
It's her fiance.
I'm sorry.
So she might be partial.
I apologize.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm partial to that opinion sucks.
Man, my worst. Nancy Pelosi threw out the first pitch for the Nationals. Do we have this clip of Nancy Pelosi throwing out first pitch? Okay, just play this. Play this quickly.
It's like 8 feet away.
All right, I don't even care about the throw. Okay, it's the fact that Nancy Pelosi is out here to celebrate Pride Day at the Washington Nationals ball game. I mean, we've been talking about this, and it's just like, it's insane that the only time Nancy Pelosi is going to show up or care about sports at all is to say, look how inclusive we are. We're going to dress the mascot up in a rainbow uniform and have Pride Day. But I will say this, we talked with our boy Robbie Starbuck the other day. There is some good news out of Major League Baseball. MLB teams will not have rainbow-themed uniforms for Pride this year. And this is a directive from the league that has informed teams that themed uniforms should now be limited to league-wide initiatives like Jackie Robinson Day or Mother's Day, not divisive social issues, except for the Dodgers and the Giants, who are both in which state? California. Yeah. Sunshine's from California.
It's slowly permeating. Common sense is slowly permeating its way through sports. Slowly but surely, this is a smart decision. You don't want to go to the ballpark and celebrate who you're having sex with. I'm sorry, that's not what anybody wants to do. Let's just go to the game. Jackie Robinson Day, great, unbelievably important. Mother's Day, women, very important. Father's Day, bark at the park night, great. Let's knock it all out. I don't want religious night. I don't want sexual orientation night or any of that just nonsense. Let's go to the game to watch the game.
My second worst is Garth Brooks. Our boy Garth Brooks here. He has a new bar opening here. Your boy Garth Brooks, new bar opening in Nashville. And he says he will serve Bud Light, which, look, no one would care about it. Like, clearly you're coming out and making a point to tell people that you're going to serve Bud Light to, like, draw attention to the subject. If you just went and served Bud Light at your bar, no one would be any the wiser. But he says, if you want to be an a-hole, there are plenty of other places to go on Lower Broadway. I don't understand why he would come forward and say this.
No, it's, well, if you want to be an a-hole, cheat on your wife, like Garth Brooks did. That's what an a-hole is. I don't need Garth Brooks to tell me what an a-hole is.
But well,
the cool thing about it is, like, yeah, a lot of people are going to go to those other bars on Broadway. Like, I don't know how long you're going to last, but this is just a bold statement to come out when your bar is just about to open, right? Like, I don't like it. Good luck. We'll see. Like, I am an asshole who's not going to drink Bud Light. I promise you that. And most of the people in Nashville are not going to drink Bud Light. So we'll see how long you last. You can say it now and it looks cool. But what a time we live in. We're 2023 where Garth Brooks is coming out and saying this.
He said he wants his bar to be like Chick-fil-A, where everyone can, like,
unless you're making phenomenal chicken biscuits. I mean, anything like that.
Yeah, let me tell you something, buddy. You ain't Chick-fil-A.
Hey, but check this out. Bud Light, after 22 years, is no longer the #1 beer in America. It got surpassed this week by Modelo.
Modelo is a phenomenal beer.
I think Modelo's owned by, like, the same people.
Yeah, they are. I had to drink Coors this last weekend.
I think I'm just making my own.
Silver bullet action, man. I'm running out of stuff to drink.
I think I'm going back Prohibition days.
Moonshine?
I'm gonna start making my own.
White Lightning?
Yeah, just run around with barrels of stuff. But you don't have to make your own skincare, all right? And what's the biggest summer secret to great-looking, glower summer complexion? It's having great skincare products from our friends at Genucel. Sun, humid, dehydrated skin, covered in dark spots, and even puffier bags under the eyes. It's a problem for all of us. Everybody's got their own little thing, all right? Genucel's beautifully curated Summer Essentials package is a limited edition package that includes their one-of-a-kind Ultra Retinol Super Moisturizer. Their Ultra Retinol is a powerful plant extract alternative to retinol without the harsh side effects and is perfectly safe to use in that summer sun. Men or women, doesn't matter, all right? You want great skin regardless. Plus, you'll get Genucel's classic skincare therapy for under eye bags and puffiness and concentrated vitamin C serum to nourish your skin for a visibly clear complexion with a glow that will get you compliments everywhere. I love the dark spot corrector for all the time I spent outside in the summer like we did yesterday. Was outside with the animals grilling up a storm. Shout out to all the red snapper fish out there, best eating fish. I'll die on that hill. Go to Genucel.com. That's GENUCEL.com/booster right now to get your Genucel Summer Essentials package. We've had a ton of people in the Booster Club that have gotten it, said they absolutely love it. And just in time for the summer, every subscription order includes a customized summer spa gift box, absolutely free. That's Genucel.com/booster. Genucel.com/booster. Do it now because you've got skin in the game. All right, phone lines are open. All right, remember we opened them up early. Got a couple minutes before we go to them, but let's get to the Club de la Booster in the chat.
Let's go to Tyler Jarvis. Tyler, what's up, man? $5 donation says, what's y'all's opinion on Gino stepping down to Miami, and who are some names they think you should go after?
Say that again.
What's y'all's opinion on Gino stepping down to Miami, and who are some names you think they should go after?
Gino.
Correct.
Who are we talking about Gino right now?
Well, it's obviously not the Heat.
No. Here, let's go to the next one. We'll get back on that
MLB. Let's go to Cole Frink, $5 donation. LeBron is mid, MJ's a GOAT, and there is a Discord. Yeah, we did make a Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, join it. Cole, well, you must have had a good weekend, buddy. It's usually a $2 donation. We're seeing 5.
Yeah, must have done well.
Let's go to Sean with the $10 donation. Sean, thank you, brother. First off, happy Monday.
Yes.
Happy Monday to you, Shawnee. I know this week is going to be fantastic, but can college football start already? Not ready for the slow season of no sports but baseball. Go Beavers, War Eagle, and go.
Yeah, look, we're all ready. In football season, it never really ends, okay? It never really ends, but I'm ready for some on-the-field stuff. And I'm not going to make my predictions until we're at least halfway through fall camp. I need to know who wins the starting job at some places, who gets hurt. We all know there's good surprises and bad surprises. But yeah, man, we've got you covered. We're going to talk everything college football with Josh Pate here in a cool 22 minutes. Gino in Miami, why am I drawing a blank on that?
I don't know. I'll look into it for a second. Let's go to David S. with a $5 donation. David, appreciate it, brother. How about the Gators back in Omaha for the first time in 5 years? Shout out to our bullpen. Went from our biggest weakness to one of our biggest strengths.
All right, so I do real quick want to say who has advanced. Florida has advanced, as you mentioned, won 2 games from South Carolina. Wake Forest has advanced. Virginia has advanced. LSU has advanced. Oral Roberts talked their way out of the Supers. Hey, I'm telling you right now, don't be shocked if these cats win it. They're just good baseball players, right? Like they have a couple guys who can really swing it from a home run standpoint, but they fight you every at bat, every single pitch. They're clean in the field. They don't have the deepest staff. They've actually been hurt pretty badly in the pitching staff from a starting rotation standpoint. But Oral Roberts, it's been a great story. They advanced. Stanford and Texas play tonight. Tennessee and Southern Miss finally in that bad boy tonight as well. But shout out to everybody that's advanced. TCU's advanced as well. Guys, it's going to be a hell of a College World Series. I can't wait for it. And at the end of the day, you've got a good representation conference-wise. You've got those Cinderellas. You've got the typical big dogs. But I'm going to stick with my pick of TCU to win it.
All right, let's go to David S. $2 donation. Appreciate it, David. Gino was the Miami baseball coach. So that's what I thought.
Okay. Here's the thing with the Marlins. It's been a good run so far this year, but we all know who's winning the division. All right, it's the Braves. The real question is, you look at the Mets. I know they won 101 games last year, fell apart in the postseason. I'm shocked. You did have the owner come out and say that Buck Showalter and those guys are safe. But if you look at, and this is something I saw this weekend.
It's college baseball Miami.
College baseball Miami. But if we're talking about the Marlins, I do want to bring this up real quick because I saw this stat this weekend. And look, I like diving down the stats. If you look at the AL East, all right, every team right now in the AL East has a plus run differential outside of the Red Sox, who are at even. Everybody in the NL East outside of the Braves have a negative run differential. It's just crazy right now when you look at overall run differentials as we get toward the trade deadline, as we get to halfway through here. But look, I'm not worried about Miami in college baseball. They're going to have great players. They love their baseball down there, obviously. So when it comes down to it, Miami's always going to be here. They're always going to be a problem. It is what it is when it comes to college baseball. They're one of the blue buds.
All right, couple things. Turtle, good morning to you, brother. And also Reynolds Smith. Hey, guys, I'll be 25 Friday and headed to the Red Sox-Yankees game.
Yup.
Y'all have any suggestions on what to do in Boston? Go Yankees. Well, Reynolds, first thing, I want you to feel safe here.
Yeah.
All right, you're in a safe place.
You are.
All right, you're under the wing, and you're in the trust tree. All right, you get decked out in as much Yankee stuff as you can. All right, and you walk in that stadium with your head held high. Even the Yankees aren't playing games, playing great right now. But I think we're
third in the division. Red Sox
11 games up. We'll take it. So go in there, get you a dog, get you a glizzy, get you a nice sized beer, and you watch the Yankees dominate. All right, that's what you watch. All right, let's go to.
Blaine, we need to get you some Yankee stuff behind you.
No, I don't want to hear it. All right, I have plenty of Yankee
it's
stuff. All
amazing.
right, I have plenty of Yankee stuff. Y'all don't know what my closet is. All right, let's go to no pun, ha ha. Let's go to Travis Elrod, #Ask Crane & Company. Can I get a shout out to my 7-year-old's Owen soccer team, the Furry, who won their league championship as a 5th seed, beating both the number 1 and number 2 team in the tournament.
Hey,
Owen,
shout out to the Fury,
bud.
Owen. Great job, babe. Hey, keep it up. Keep it up. All right, Cone, you let me know when you want to get the calls.
All right, let's go to Sean Pennison, #Ask Crane & Co. Sean, what's up, brother? Can we get a draft? Can we get DraftKings to make a bet on Omaha Jello Shot contest?
Yes.
I'm betting the farm on LSU this year.
Look, I think it's going to be a showdown between LSU and Florida. Now, Tennessee gets there. If they beat Southern Miss today, I think they can give them a run for their money. There's no Mississippi school in there this year. I think Ole Miss won it the last time by a lot. They just absolutely walked the dog on everybody. But if you don't know, the College World Series Jello Shot has a handle on Twitter right now. It's all the rage. It's a great situation. Look, Jello Shots in baseball. Look, this is what America does.
All right, let's go to Max A, #Ask Crane & Company. What are the Heat missing to get a title? Really want Jamie to win one. Also, hope you guys had a great weekend.
Look, when it comes down to there's so many good things going on with the Heat right now, and I'm not going to sit here and say they need 4 superstars and need to put a big 3 back together. I do think they need a legitimate big outside of Adebayo, because it just feels like they have to give a maximum effort every single time to be able to just compete with you on the boards, or you better shoot a crazy percentage throughout the game, because that's one way to not get out rebounded is to make shots. It just seems like they're just overmatched from a science standpoint, right? Because you're not going to shoot great every game. Even in the NBA, these guys are incredible, some of the best athletes in the world. But at some point, physics is physics, right? Gravity is gravity. The Nuggets are just bigger than you are. I mean, Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. right now, from a rebounding standpoint, I mean, they're running with the Heat like it's nothing. Bam Adebayo is having to basically be an X-Men to go in there and get rebounds. Everybody's having to crash the board. But Gabe Vincent isn't going to help you from a rebounding standpoint. Max Strus and Duncan Robinson aren't going to help you from a rebounding standpoint. You need a big... Kevin Love is... I know he's a good rebounder. He's a smart rebounder. He knows how to play physical. He knows how to play nuance. But he's on the back end of his career. They need somebody down low to help Bam, because Bam can't do it by himself. Jimmy crashes it. Kyle Lowry crashes it. But again, science is science.
They're just missing a 7-footer from Serbia who's just a walking triple-double.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's true. There's got to be
another. They get one of
right?
those, they're good.
They should try out one of his brothers.
Well, what, do you think it's a big? Do you think they're missing another big?
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're making it this far with Bam. I mean, you got to think you have Jimmy, but you don't have anybody else elite on your team. So I don't think you need necessarily another big. I think you'd be fine with a solid 4. I mean, guys who will actually show up when it matters. I mean, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, where have they been? And it's cool. It's a great story. I think a lot of it has to do with Eric Spoelstra, in my opinion.
You might be right if they just had all of these shooters across the board. And if Tyler Hero was healthy right now, we'd get a little bit better look. So if you look at something like the Golden State Warriors, and you're like, well, they don't have a 7-footer from Serbia. They don't have that kind of big. Draymond, one, sets the tone down low, at least, even though he's not necessarily a 7-footer. And then you also have the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah, a lot of them are going in.
There are different ways to do it, but I mean, that's what I see the Heat needing the most.
All right, let's go to Deacon and Nora, David. I want to ask you this question, #AskCranico. Where's the best landing spot for Dalvin Cook?
That's a really good question. We didn't talk about this. I think it happened. Did this happen over the weekend, or was it actually last Friday?
It was last Friday.
Getting released. Look, the Vikings are cleaning house on some of these veterans, Patrick Peterson and some of the other guys. You know, it depends on, one, how healthy is he going to be? I mean, I think he had, 4 straight yards, over 1,000 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. You look at a team, I keep looking at the Bills trying to land one of these, running backs who's a little bit older.
Brothers there.
Yeah, and that could be a very interesting situation, because the Bills don't necessarily need to have a Derrick Henry type running back in order to run the kind of offenses they're running. But at the same time, any sort of extra piece could be a big help. Also, the Eagles, I think, are the same way. A team that doesn't necessarily need that piece, but would be a nice addition. Would be a great spot. Whereas if you're going to be a team like the Saints, who really needs to fill in for Alvin Kamara, who's going to miss some games, I don't know if Dalvin Cook necessarily is going to be the best answer for you.
Now, I think you look at the Jets right now. You look at Breece Hall coming off an injury. Dalvin Cook, an older guy, a piece that can still hit the home run. I'm looking at the Jets and the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins could use Dalvin Cook as well. I know they have a ton of weapons on the outside, and not that they don't have, a couple solid backs, but Dalvin Cook, the offensive line's the biggest question mark in Miami. I get that. But Dalvin Cook is a guy that I think could supercharge an already very charged up skill position offense. And if you got to think, with Tua's injury history, adding another back that can take a little bit of pressure off of him, I don't think would be a bad idea. But I look at that Buffalo connection with his brother James, who played at Georgia. We know Dalvin played at Florida State. I wouldn't be shocked regardless when it comes down to it.
I wouldn't be shocked if you might see Dalvin Cook playing for the Panthers next year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be kind of sneaky, adding some pieces. Bryce Young.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great fit. I think the Miami Dolphins would be a great fit. I think the Arizona Cardinals.
So do you think he's still a running back one by a long shot and a 3-down back? 3-down back?
Yeah, 100%.
So then why would the Vikings move him then?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, it
really doesn't make sense. The Vikings, if anything, you're doing it for cap space to get more defensive pieces. Right, because your defense is trash.
Well, and Dalvin, basically was asking to be released. I mean, I don't think this is the first time it's happened either. When you are kind of cleaning house, how they are. Look, running back, the running back position nowadays, and y'all know this is different than it has been. The emphasis on going out there, and that's why it was shocking to see Jahmyr Gibbs taken so early for the Lions at 12 or whenever he was taken, because now 3-down backs are disappearing. They are disappearing from the league. It is specialization. Oh, this guy's a first down, second down back. Oh, this guy's a third down back. He's your pass catching back, whatever. It's kind of disappearing. I wonder if they were kind of butting heads just from a mentality.
Jets could be interesting.
Yeah.
The Jets could be interesting.
That's the first one that popped in my head.
Well, because we don't know, like, you never know how someone's going to respond to ACL. And if Breece Hall, like, how is he coming back? Maybe get some, a respite at the beginning of the season with Dalvin Cook carrying that load early. That could be an interesting spot for him.
Definitely. All right, you ready to get the calls?
Yep, let's do it. All right, let's start with Nick H. in South Carolina. Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys, this is the Stash Ambassador.
Yeah, you are.
I have a question about this upcoming NBA draft. So I'm in a dynasty franchise, on Sleeper, and I have the second overall pick. It's a complete rebuild mode, not a good season. And I was wondering which of the top three, obviously Wemby's going to be gone at number 2, but I'm thinking either Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. So which one of those guys do you think has the best impact over, say, like an 8 to 10 year span?
Look, Scoot's incredible. He's a high flyer, a guy that, I thought was going to go to my team, Auburn, before the G League went in there and scooped him up. But I don't know how you don't take Brandon Miller. His offensive game, the level of his offensive game is so high right now. And not that the G League doesn't have talent. We know the G League has a ton of talent. But I watch Brandon Miller ball consistently against guys that are going to be in that league and be effective in that league, not just in the SEC, but outside of the SEC. You look at his ability to shoot, not only the three-pointer, but the mid-range game. But what I like is his ability to drive with both hands. We look at some guys, they're better going left, some guys are better going right. Brandon Miller can create his own shot going left, create his own shot going right. He knows how to get to the free throw line. I think he is so far ahead offensively of where his age is. And look, I know the off-the-court stuff that happened at Alabama. We know how serious of a situation that is. But at the end of the day, when you are looking at him as a basketball player, he was the best offensive player, in my opinion, in the country from a shot-making and shot creation standpoint. I would go Brandon Miller.
And imagine how good he'll be without those off-the-court issues.
Very true. And in the way the NBA's reffed.
That too.
Do you guys have a comparison, like a current
Kevin Durant?
Paul George.
Kevin Durant.
Paul George.
For Brandon Miller,
Yeah.
Jabari Smith. I think he's like Jabari.
Those are all good.
I think he's a better shooter, and I think Jabari's going to have a phenomenal NBA career. Just the height. I mean, Brandon's 6'9", isn't he?
Yeah, it's Paul George. I'm telling you, it's Paul George.
I think he's 6'9", man. Just when it comes to the NBA, how good's your one-on-one post game? Your post game, and how good are you with your back to the basket? Brandon can shoot the three, but if you really dive into his highs when it comes to college, watch him with his back to the basket. That's where you really see the talent level. It's hard to block someone who can jump and shoot when you're 6'9".
Yeah, and he made a lot of big shots.
For sure.
Made a lot of big shots in college.
It's a great question, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, man.
Stashing back.
All right, let's go to the next Nick. We got Nick in Dallas as well. Nick, what's going on?
The Nick convention today.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Blazing Grizzly.
There he is.
What's up, man?
Bud?
Hey, I just wanted to call in and congratulate you on the wedding. I know my wedding was a couple years ago. It was the second greatest day of my life. Right after my little blazing cub was born. So congratulate on that.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. She hadn't divorced me yet either. It's great.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, I also wanted to call and ask you about, last year was abysmal, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much about this season for my Denver Broncos. How high should my hopes get this season?
Well, look, I don't like the phrase uncommon. I thought they could have come up with something better. I thought the phrase should be, hey, Russell, play better. I thought that should be the phrase. But, when you look at the Broncos, it can't get much worse than it was last year. And Sean Payton, he knows how to build up a franchise. He understands what you have to win. And I think he's going to be kind of a great reset for Russell. I think there's a lot of fakeness to Russell Wilson. Not that he's a bad person or has, a nefarious way about him, but I do think he's a little bit of that fake Boy Scout that's really treating your daughter bad and you think he's treating her good. But I think Sean Payton, again, if anybody can get it right quickly, it is Sean Payton. Now, the question's going to become, I'm not worried about the defense. It's offensively, from a balance standpoint, Can you get back to where people fear the pass and the run, where they're not overloading against one or the other? That's going to be the biggest question. But as bad as it was last year, I don't see a way in hell it can be as bad. But you look at the division you're in, it's not getting any worse, okay? Like from a overall talent standpoint, especially with what the Chiefs are doing with a roster that should be better than the one that won the Super Bowl last year. But I would be slightly confident. That's the way I would put it.
I like slightly confident. Here's their schedule this year. You ready for it? Raiders, Redskins, at the Dolphins, at the Bears, Jets, at the Chiefs. Then you get Packers, Chiefs, at Buffalo, Minnesota, Cleveland. You go to the Texans, to the Chargers, to Detroit, all back to back to back. You get New England at home, Chargers at home, and then you go on the road to Vegas.
Just get in. Just find a way.
I see 7-10 there.
Say that again?
I can see a 7-10 there, and I mean that's not a winning record, but no, it's a lot better than last season.
I think you're swimming in the right water.
Win, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're swimming in the right water. That road stretch, because if you look, I mean, really, it's not like one half of that schedule is way harder than the other. It's kind of evenly split. It's not the hardest schedule. It's not the easiest schedule. But playing in your division,
NFL, man.
You got to play the Chargers twice.
I mean,
you got to play the Chiefs twice.
The Broncos haven't had a winning record against the AFC West since 2015, I believe, and that's the year they won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I mean, look, y'all one of the worst offense, if not the worst offense in the league last year. I think y'all averaged 16 points a game.
That ain't good.
But there's one person who can come in and fix it. You know, you would think it'd be Sean Payton, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Broncos, in my opinion, are one of the teams no one really knows about until you see on the field and what Sean's got done. But you got to believe in Russell Wilson, just what you've seen over his career. Your offensive line is getting healthy, and you have great pieces, and you're extremely good and talented and young on defense.
And with what you've seen from Russell, I will not take last year and say, this is the new Russell Wilson. Now, it could be. Who knows? But when you look at his career, last year was the anomaly, not any time before that.
Appreciate it, Nick. Thanks so
Nick.
much, man.
Go Blazing Cub. We said hello.
All right. Pete the Greek in Fort Lauderdale. Pete, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you guys doing? Good morning.
Pete, what's up, buddy?
You guys are special. I'll say that. You guys are really good.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that. My mom used to say the same thing, but I think you mean it better than what she did.
No, I don't mean it that way, yeah. Hey, so real quick, I just wanted, when you get Josh on, wanted to ask you if you can just relay the question is what he thinks about the NIL landscape.
Yep.
And of course, you know Jake, I'm a homer. So give me a little dig there for FSU and what he thinks about my Noles and the use of the portal actually by our coach. It's been a blessing, to be honest with you guys. So appreciate all of you. You guys run a great show. Jake, jump on one of ours one of these times and go Noles.
Definitely. Well, Pete, we really appreciate it, buddy. We're trying to bring sexy back in sports media. But yeah, it's funny. My first question I'm going to ask Josh is about NIL. New NCAA president Charlie Baker came out and said the most obvious things that we've been saying since they released NIL. We'll get to that, and obviously going to ask him about FSU and really the whole ACC because it's an interesting conference this year.
Appreciate it, Pete. All right, Cody in Illinois. Cody, what's going on, man?
All right. Who's ready for a QB 10?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's go. Update.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Tell everybody, hold on, Cody. Right. Tell everybody what it is real quick if they don't know.
So we are simulating a 2000 or NCAA 2000 game, and Cone is the starting quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines as a 68.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. So in this past week, the Michigan Wolverines defeated Central Michigan 38-7.
Come on.
And Cone went 15 of 20 for 181 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And he also rushed.
You got to stop turning the ball.
Hey, hold on. I rushed for what?
You rushed for 1 touchdown.
Okay.
On the
ground.
Right. Look,
Cody
on the ground,
baby. Snake. It smells
very efficient through the air. Why are we throwing 2 picks? Why are we throwing 2 interceptions to the other team?
Hey, do you know how those interceptions were? Were they tip balls or did Cone just blow it?
It's not something I can necessarily see, but I do know his awareness is a 48, so that's why he's throwing interceptions.
Young. Yeah. Hey, you're young. We're going to get better.
Hold on. 15 for 20.
His awareness will be better.
15 for 20, but 2
15 for
picks.
20.
That's 17 for 20 because those balls didn't touch the ground.
That's true. I will say 38-7. Again, the defense has shut up twice. It was a nice one over Vandy. I know you were nervous for game 1. Game 2, it seems like they gave you a little bit more.
So we're 2-0 is what
Cody, who we got? Who we got this week coming up?
Who's it this week, Cody?
We're 2-0, but we have a challenge. We've got number 3, Brady Quinn in the Fighting Irish. So it's
at home or on the road?
It's going to be a game.
On the road. I remember.
I'm pretty sure 06 was on the road.
Oh,
I remember that.
God.
I remember that week leading up to that game,
be over
boys.
saying that David Cohn.
How you feeling this?
I remember the week leading up that Mario Manningham went off that week. They asked him after the game. They're like, I think he had 3 touchdowns on 4 catches for like game that good in your entire life. He said, "Yeah, actually, I have."
Cody, thanks for the update, man. That is absolutely fantastic. Congrats, David, on being 2-0. And speaking about awareness, all right, this Father's Day, all right, you need to be aware of the greatest deal maybe in the history of food. All right, let your dad unleash his inner grill master, whether he prefers a sizzling steak or savory grilled chicken. Look no further than the gift of meat from our friends at Good Ranchers. Just got the butcher's box in, boys. Took a picture of it yesterday. I mean, look, in medieval times, I know how the king feels when they bring all the meat in from the farms. Good Ranchers offers ribeyes, New York strips, T-bones, all-natural burgers, and the most delicious chicken you could ever want. Plus, right now, you'll get $30 off with our code BOOSTER. A ton of people were on this yesterday. All right, go to goodranchers.com, all right, and use the promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. You get $30 off, and they offer a price lock guarantee for the next 2 years. Imagine if you could have locked in your price 2 years ago, you'd have saved hundreds of dollars. So not sure how to grill the perfect steak? Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise. They have tons of recipes on their website like our favorite, How to Cook a Steak Better Than Gordon Ramsay. That's right, Gordon. You don't know anything compared to Good Ranchers. I'll say it to your face. Whether your dad is a steak lover, a barbecue enthusiast, or just enjoys a good old-fashioned burger, Good Ranchers has something for everyone. Order today and make this Father's Day a sizzling success. You cannot go wrong by doing this. And I'm telling you, it's fresh. If anybody knows about fresh food, it's me. I'm world traveled. All right, so order today, like I said. That's goodranchers.com and use our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $30 off any box. That's promo code BOOSTER at goodranchers.com. Goodranchers.com, American meat delivered. David, your thoughts?
Guys, if this is something you've been thinking about doing but haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, order this now because Father's Day is this weekend. You still have time to get those steaks in. It's not just steaks. They also have chicken. Go ahead and order that and have yourself an awesome weekend because this company right here, Good Ranchers, is on a whole nother level. This is stuff you're putting in your body. This is nutrition. Get your steaks from a place that actually cares about the meat they are sourcing for you to eat.
I ate 3 steaks last night. Delicious.
Wow.
Yeah, devoured them. It's one of those days. Look, I'm not a father. At least I think I'm not a father. But if there's one thing I would want for Father's Day, it's Good Ranchers. All right? They got everything you want. Free bacon. I told that to one of my buddies right when I told him that. He immediately bought something. That's the easiest sell in the world. So, hey, great people, great meat. Hell, they're great at racing, too.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, we got Josh Pate coming on here in a minute.
All right, let's go to TriStar in Chattanooga. TriStar, what's going on?
How y'all doing this morning?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Up here in New Hampshire currently.
Wow. Really? How's that? What's the weather like?
It's actually really nice. That smoke went away finally, but it's actually really nice.
Yeah, I know there's some smog warning or something up in New York.
No, it was wildfires. It was wildfires in Canada.
Okay.
But anyways, I know y'all bringing Josh on. Stup may want me to tell him hello.
I will.
Anyways, so here's my thing. When it comes to Alabama this year, because as you know, I'm a Tennessee guy, and I hear a lot of crap from Alabama fans that I'm delusional. That apparently I told them, I said, if Nick Saban was not the head coach, this would be projected as an 8-4 team. Because I look at just what they have. I don't trust their wide receivers. I didn't see them get any better during the spring game. I know it's a spring game, but it looks like they still have the dropping the pass issue, catching the ball. I don't really trust their quarterbacks. They're very unproven. They're having to replace the blind side. And I have to see their defense really step up before I start picking them to win the SEC or anything. Do they have talent? Absolutely. That 247 ranking said that they had like 90% blue chip ratio, which is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my thing is that if something goes wrong with this year and they lose 2 or 3 games, are the fans over there finally going to start putting some blame on Nick Saban?
Well, look, I think at some point with Alabama, I mean, they are going to blame the head coach if it doesn't go right to a certain extent. Now, that's what happens when you've had that much success. I'm not going to say a majority of them are spoiled, but we know a lot of college football fan bases are spoiled. I think Alabama's gotten so used to success. Here's what I'll say, and this is what I've been saying. This is one of the things that makes Nick Saban as amazing as he is roster structure and roster management. We don't talk about it enough in college football. We talk about it a ton in the NFL, but we don't talk about it enough in college football. And one of the main things is not losing too much at 2 symbiotic spots, right? What do I mean by that? When's the last time Alabama replaced a quarterback and a left tackle in the same year? Can't really remember it, right? Because it doesn't happen a lot.
I'd say probably it's been a while.
It has been a while. It's just like the last time, they had to replace, a middle linebacker and edge rushers in the same year. Now, when you look at Henry To'oTo'o and the guys they have behind him, they have more proven guys behind him than you do at the quarterback position. I know you did lose Will Anderson Jr., but to me, I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest parts of this roster, there hasn't been as many question marks as there has this year, TriStar, and I think that's the main thing I look at with Alabama. But again, we know how talented they are. They could run the table, or they could go 9-3. And at the end of the day, I think it makes it more interesting for college football. But speaking of interesting for college football, TriStar, thanks for your call. Let's bring in host of Late Kick, a guy who got lost in the corn and found his way out, our buddy Josh Pate. Josh, what's up, man?
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't even know what it means, and I was the one lost in the corn. I did a couple of poses, I got out of there, and now it's gotten me a lot of run on social, which, as we know, is the real lifeblood.
That's true, and look, I'm not accusing you of being one of the children of the corn. I haven't, seen anything like that. But I don't even know what it means, but it's provocative, and it gets the people going. And something else that's provocative and gets the people going is NIL. Josh, we've talked about this, man, for, since it was released out of the box with no guardrails. Well, now new NCAA president, Charlie Baker, said they want to try and get some federal regulation for it because they shouldn't have let it out of the box with no guardrails. But we've had people who do make federal regulations on from one end to the other, and they say it's basically impossible because of the antitrust lawsuits on the back end. Is there any way to rein in NIL at this point, or is just the monster out going to rip villagers apart until the end of time?
Well, I don't even think it's as bad as people say it is. And I know that it's very popular, especially in our space, to just go on air and wave an alarm bell in the air, and it's like a dog whistle. People do it in the political world all the time, and it works in the sports media world too. It's not really as catastrophic as people make it seem. So that's the first thing. That's just my personal perspective. Having said that, though, as bad as it is, relatively speaking, no, there's not much that can be done outside of the whole federal legislation parachute, which is never really a parachute. And also, I think the other thing is what I've started to see is a little bit of kind of self-regulation. There is not a bottomless supply of money, contrary to popular belief. Programs don't have blank checks. It's always kind of popular to say that, but it's not really true. Like even I was down at Miami this week, even the Miamis of the world, even the ones who are backed by billionaires, they are not actually backed by someone who just says, go spend my money as much as you need to. That's really not the way that works. So what's happening, and this is a good thing, is the market itself is figuring out we need to understand allocation of resources. This is the kind of thing that normal adults have to do every day of their lives. We need to figure out allocation of resources. And what they're figuring out is less and less money in that overall budget of NIL per se is going to go towards unproven high school talent, to where you eventually calibrate it to be about 10 to 15% of your overall budget. And the vast majority of that NIL money is going to keeping players. And if we hit the rewind button just a little bit and we go back to last November, I go on my show and I repeat what coaches are telling me, and that is NIL is about to be wild. The transfer portal is about to just be turned inside out this upcoming winter. Well, it wasn't. There was some activity, but it wasn't turned inside out. And the reason was because a lot of those collectives got their you-know-what in gear, and they kept their best players at home because that's where they allocated their financial resources. And really what that sounds like to me is the way it should work the entire time, instead of just paying like $800,000 to an unproven high school linebacker just because you can. Translation, if you want the 30-second version. I think it's going to work itself out okay. And I actually think we may be getting to a point right now where you had the earthquake like 2 years ago. Okay, then there's the delayed ripple effect. And by the time the ripple effect, or as you would call it, a tsunami, actually gets to the beach of college football, half the folks on the beach are saying, hold on, don't sound the alarm. We actually are trying to figure it out ourselves, and we've got a little bit of a head start. We don't need you coming in here and doing anything. And then there's the other crowd that still thinks they need federal legislation. I'm not in that crowd anymore, whereas I used to be. So that's where we are. It's a spaghetti mess or a spaghetti plot. It sounds kind of convoluted. I don't think that we're going to fall off a cliff because of NIL.
Yeah, and I think when people speak in generalizations, NIL is either awful or NIL is the greatest thing of all time, they're both wrong. Because in my opinion, I think players should get paid for their name, image, and likeness. Where I think the problem got created was if Bryce Young wants to do a deal with Dr. Pepper, then that should be between Bryce Young and Dr. Pepper. All we did was replace the middleman. We took out the NCAA and added the institution. But to where I think you get the most bang for your buck in NIL is retaining players, number one, mostly because they know the system, they know the way it works, they know where the classes are. But number two is in the transfer portal because it's true free agency. You have a proven commodity. I know a lot more about a player that has played in college football, especially in the same division or the same level as my team, as opposed to a high school kid that you're projecting. It's like free agency in the NFL compared to the NFL draft. You know a hell of a lot more about the player coming over from the Bills than you do about the player coming out of Buffalo, the college. So I think people that speak in end of the spectrum talk, it's the worst thing ever, it's the greatest thing ever, you're really just wasting your time. But I do want to shift, Josh, from off the field to on the field. And we had a caller call in and ask, about the ACC and Florida State. We look at what North Carolina is returning with Drake May. Not a ton else outside of that. You lose Josh Downs. Clemson coming off a down year from their, standard and what we've seen. You do return Cade Klubnik. DJU is out. When you look at the ACC right now, is it Florida State and everybody else in your mind, or do you think Clemson's going to be back a little bit, even though I still have questions about their skill position players?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not anyone and then the field to me in the ACC. We put out that blue chip ratio last week. Bud does that every year, and it would just be foolish to ignore a team that is top 5 in the blue chip ratio, which is just the amount of 4- and 5-star caliber talent you have on your roster relative to not. I would never do that. And here's what's fascinating about that. So there's never been a team in the history of the college football playoff and beyond that, really, that's won a national title being below 50% on the blue chip ratio. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting because Florida State's at 38%. And when you account for the transfers, they're still at 41%. So it would be like a Berlin Wall moment in the pantheon of like modern day college football if Florida State were to go win a national title with a roster that relatively unskilled compared to the Georgias and Bamas, et cetera, of the world.
Well, what about the conference, though? Just the ACC conference, not the Natty, just the conference.
So when you wrap it back around to the conference, but it's the same point. So when I'm looking at those comparatively, I'm looking at a team in Florida State and I'm looking at a team in Clemson. Here's the big conversation here. I don't know where I lean there. I actually may lean slightly Florida State there, but think about this. If we get to December and Florida State has won that conference, right now, this conversation has not happened, has not really happened hardcore within these fan bases. It's happened nationally. The transfer portal conversation, these two programs have gone about it diametrically opposed. Florida State has put their roster together leaning on the portal. Dabo has voluntarily shirked the portal, as Meemaw would say. And you're so far, you're not paying any price because Florida State has not overtaken you. They've not won the conference. They've not beaten you en route to doing it. But if they do beat them in Clemson in week 4, and then they go on to win the conference, you won't have to talk about it nationally or regionally. Clemson's own fan base will start to turn and look at the emperor and say, it's not illegal. They're not doing anything illegal. The rules allow you to use the portal, and you're just going to continue to turn your back on it out of like some principled stance you took. Well, it's your job to put our program in the best position to win. And if it does not yield a result this year, that will be the conversation. You're just going to continue to ignore the portal? That would be tough.
Yeah, very true, because you're losing justification for doing that.
Well, while you guys are talking about the ACC, I mean, Josh, you were just down at Miami. You know, Mario Cristobal entering year 2, 5-7 a year ago. What was your biggest takeaway from being down there, and what is your expectation for the Hurricanes?
They feel better this upcoming year than they did last year. I think they feel like if they can get to 2024, that's the team that they feel will really explode. Crazier things have happened, obviously, but man, there's a lot of not beating around the bush in that building right now. They are not shy about telling you we've still got some folks here that probably need to explore other options because it's a weeding out process. They kept Van Dyke. You know, we're talking about that whole NIL retention system. Don't overlook the fact that they were able to keep Tyler Van Dyke, because if they didn't keep him, I sat down with their offensive coordinator for like an hour, and he made no bones about the fact that if we don't keep him, like if I don't have him, we're screwed. Like what in the world are we going to do? So they got the quarterback who was oil and water last year when it comes to the other offensive coordinator they had in the building, which was another point that I took away. And that is just listening to Mario Cristobal off the record very plainly, but even on the record, talk about how we just didn't hire the right coordinators, especially offensively. We didn't hire the right coordinators. We knew it early on in the season. There's nothing you can do. It's not like you can just hit the dump button and eject out of a bad decision. But think about that. Think about trying to build a program, but you just have a false start with a couple of coordinator hires. That gets you exactly what it got them last year. But two other things. One, the left tackle, Francis Mauigoa, the 5-star left tackle they signed, probably start at right tackle this year. Never seen anything like him. I'm around all those big programs, around Bama and Georgia constantly. I watched him run pass routes. You heard me right. And he is as fluid as a wide receiver. Just happens to be carrying 335 pounds with him. He is over there leading position drills, not 18 years old yet, leading position drills with that offensive line. And from day one, he walks in, they said, he's the best player we have here. And that's a 17-year-old. The other thing is, I think it's so fascinating when you see people with the right mentality, a true freshman class come in, because we've seen it when Saban took over at Bama. I remember hearing these stories when like that first true freshman class came in, immediately, like the Julio Jones class, just immediately. It didn't matter that there were fifth-year seniors on the roster. The true freshman class looked totally different and acted totally different, and in time took over the roster that year. That's what it feels like at Miami. And if you got to go through a few more growing pains to do that in the short term, they don't have to worry about job security down there. I mean, they're fully invested, fully committed, kind of a 10-year plan sort of thing. I think that the formula is still there to win, and that's where I'm in the minority a little bit. Some people don't think you can do at Miami what you used to do. I think every box it takes to win in college football is still able to be checked down there. It just hasn't been, but has not and cannot. Two totally different things.
Yeah. On the coordinator hire, there were a lot of people in Michigan that weren't mad to see Josh Gaddis go take that coordinator spot down at Miami.
I remember.
Let's move to the Southeastern Conference. For the last couple of weeks, we've had some back and forth on whether or not this conference is going to scrap divisions, move to 8 games or stay at an 8-game schedule, move to a 9-game schedule when Texas and Oklahoma join. And then Greg Sankey did reveal finally that the conference is going to stay at 8 games. What are your thoughts on that? And what should the model be for the Southeastern Conference when Texas and Oklahoma do officially become part of that conference?
So let me go in reverse. So what I'd love to see in all of college football is sort of the uniformity in scheduling formats. But what I would love in a perfect world is I'd love for everyone to only play 8 conference games, and I'd love for you to play 3 Power 5 out of conferences, because I want as much cross-contamination and cross-pollination in scheduling between conferences as possible. And then I would give you the ability to play 1 G5 and be done with it. So everyone's playing roughly an equal schedule. What I cannot stand, though, is listening to mouthpieces for other conferences use their national platform, which people accuse me of being with the SEC, by the way. But I can't stand listening to people's kind of marry the amount of conference games you play with being synonymous with strength of schedule. That's not true. It's just like the amount of Power 5 opponents you play does not in and of itself tell me anything about your schedule. And the other thing is this whole FCS cupcake week that the SEC plays, which I'm not a fan of. I don't exactly make Bama versus UT Chattanooga appointment viewing, but to listen to some people talk about how other conferences are more high and mighty than the SEC because the SEC schedules FCS cream puffs. You guys know as well as I do, Cone, if you're playing at Michigan, you know as well as I do that whether you guys play UNLV and you're favored by 44, or you play UT Chattanooga and you're favored by 54, it's the same outcome. Like, it doesn't matter that one of them has a G5 sticker on their helmet and the other has FCS on their helmet. Yes. Everybody plays cream puffs. Everybody does. And so I don't look at the SEC any different. I actually think per capita, they still play the strongest schedules in America. And everyone else knows that. That's why they don't go straight to strength of schedule. They do the smoke and mirror. Oh, shame on you for playing less Power 5 opponents. Shame on you for playing less conference games. Just tell me what the strength of schedule is. That's all I care about.
Yep.
All right, Josh, we're going to get to a couple of Booster Club questions here. We're going to go to Cal Kennedy. What's up, Cal? Hashtag Ask Josh. He said, what are your expectations to see out of Arkansas with both coordinators turning over?
So here's what you're hearing out of Arkansas right now. At least here's what I'm hearing. They don't want anyone talking about them. It's that whole very, very sneaking around the chicken coop mentality. Like I said with Tyler Van Dyke at Miami, huge deal. They kept KJ Jefferson at quarterback there. They got a kid named Varquise Gums out of North Texas who did the classic transfer portal commit, decommit, recommit to the same school. Mm-hmm. It's a classic 2023 dance move in college football.
Yep.
Probably sneaky good. What is being lost right now in the national conversation is schedule is not nearly as tough for them. I was up there last year, and it was week 1, and they were saying privately what they couldn't say publicly, and that is, we screwed ourselves with this schedule. They all knew it. And one of their coaches told me, if we just make it to next year, now we got a shot next year. Well, here it is, next year. Those close games, the 3-point losses to A&M, those are the games they got to turn into wins, and they can be an 8 or 9 win team again this year. Quarterback's key, always is.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see if KJ Jefferson can stay healthy, because what they did with him under Kendall Briles compared to what I think they're going to do under Dan Enos, who is more in the Sam Pittman era of let's get in 12 personnel, let's run a bunch of gap scheme, as opposed to let's go RPO and let KJ keep the ball 15, 20 times. Hell, he can't make it halfway through a season with the way they were operating the past couple of years. Very interested to see how he does.
Yep. All right, we got a $5 donation here to stay on Arkansas. Heartbroken Hog says, Josh, I love your show and your coach series tour. Is there any chance you can get my man Sam Pittman on? Okay, and also Blaine thinks Tim Tebow's overrated. So you can feel free to
flame him, Josh.
Not overrated. Not the most overrated college player
don't
ever.
That's not okay. That's not true. The list that we had, out of that list, Tim Tebow was the most overrated person on that list. 100%.
So you wouldn't have Tim Tebow on your top 10
what
players.
What was the list? Do we have the list?
Do we have the list?
It was
Tebow one.
It was
Reggie
Tebow,
Bush was on there.
Reggie
Bush, Vince Young.
Matt
It was Chat GPT.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Chat GPT put it together. The robots.
Johnny Manziel was 2.
Johnny
Manziel was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Tim, Josh?
Look, I think Tim Tebow's college legacy gets kind of clouded by his professional career.
Yep.
Like if we could, in other words, if we could just do this show week 11 of the 2009 season, I don't think people would argue the same against Tebow's legacy as they do now. He was a great college quarterback, man. Like, he was phenomenal. And also, I don't overlook the intangible stuff. I think sometimes the media made too much of like a cinematic performance of his persona. And that makes me feel a little ugh. But if you just get inside the locker room, like, there was no doubt that guy's like one of the biggest alpha type A's that's ever played this sport. And he backed it up on the field. There's nothing worse than a second or third stringer that tries to be Tim Tebow in the locker room. That is brutal. Well, Tim Tebow was Tim Tebow, and he was Tim Tebow in the locker room. So he's way up there for me. I'll say that. Did you ask something about Arkansas? It's been a long time. I forgot.
Yeah, Sam Pittman.
Sam Pittman, get on your coach series.
Yes, if for no other excuse than to go up there and eat at Wright's Barbecue. They've never paid me a dime, and yet it seems like they're like a presenting sponsor of the show. Yeah, that could be. It could be because I don't necessarily just try and go get the biggest names on that thing. I want to get the most interesting conversations. And if you've ever talked to Sam Pittman, we get him for 10 days at SEC Media, or 10 minutes at SEC Media Days. He spent 7.5 of it last year talking about the best concerts he's been to. And I didn't stop him. I don't really care about football. If you're telling me you just saw Fleetwood Mac in concert, I don't care. So I'm all for going up there and talking to Sam Pittman. We may have to line that up.
Definitely. I do want to ask you, Josh, last question before we get out of here, but he needs to go check out Late Kick. Big Ten. I'm looking around at surprise teams across the country. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State. That's going to be what's talked about. Wisconsin seems sneaky to me, man. They seem sneaky to me in the Big Ten this year. Not saying that they're going to win it, but if I had to pick a surprise team out of the Big Ten to be Wisconsin, what say you?
I agree wholeheartedly. Sneaking around in recruiting too. Mm-hmm. So don't lose sight of the fact that they've gotten some energy up there that people didn't think was possible with Wisconsin, because everyone had just started to go to sleep inside the fan base, much less outside. I agree with you. And I also think that same thing could happen with Auburn this year. Anytime you have a coaching staff that comes in offensively and they have like a radically different approach, what you find sometimes is there were just pieces on that roster that were misused or underutilized that you didn't even realize were there. And all of a sudden they're just used properly and you overachieve in year one relative to expectation. That absolutely could be Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think both teams could sneak around, win 8-9 games. And you look at the way the offensive line's been upgraded with what Hugh Freeze has done coming into Auburn. That was such a huge deficiency, not just during the Brian Harsin era, but the last 2 years of Gus Malzahn. It's never a deficiency. We got Josh Pate on. Josh, tell everybody where they can find you, man. Excited to see you at Media Days here soon, too.
Yeah, man. Hey, are you guys? Well, I'm asking if you're coming up here. So you're going to walk to the event?
Yeah, you too. Let's walk together.
Well, there is strength in numbers. That's going to be fun, man. The Late Kick YouTube channel, Late Kick Podcast, like wherever you want to listen or view, just type Late Kick and you'll probably find us over there.
Definitely. Well, Josh, it's always fun to talk to you, brother. Excited to see you soon.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, buddy.
See you, man.
Josh Pate.
He was overrated.
Good friend of the show. No, he's not.
Yes.
No, he's not. All right, I'm going to head over to the Booster Bets. Stay in the Booster Club, Blase.
Okay, let's go to Bri Ganner, $10 donation. Appreciate it, Bri. The wife reaches level 26 today.
Yes.
Can I get a birthday shout out to her? I was listening one morning. She asked if y'all wear fishing gear on the show. Thanks for a great show, boys. Happy birthday, Bri Ganter's wife.
Bri Ganter, yes, your shirt is coming, Bri Ganter. I promise you. And you have my sword.
TriStar, $5 donation, a little bit late, but Josh, did you storm chase the April 27, 2011 outbreak? And what are your thoughts on Chief Wahoo McDaniel? Stuntman John in Phoenix City says hello. We will send that to him and try to get an answer for you. Let's go to David S., $5 donation. Have y'all noticed that baseball players have very unique names, college and pro? Adley Rutschman, Hurston Waldrip, Dansby Swanson, and Creek Robertson.
Yes, I'm telling you, it matters. We've said this on the show. Names matter, especially in baseball. That's why the first son I'm having, I'm naming him Easton. There's a reason
Best
for it.
baseball player I ever played against, his name was Cleat.
Cleat Thomas.
Cleat Thomas, War Eagle.
Dude struck me out so many times, man.
Hadn't struck out that many times since I was asking out dates at the Victoria's Secret model concert. Place, show, whatever. That was a joke. Never did that. So, bets tonight. I'm going Jamal Murray double-double, plus 120. All right, little plus one money. He's got double-doubles past couple times. I expect him to have a big game tonight, but I just need 10 and 10 somewhere. And then Tennessee and Southern Miss over 10.5 tonight. Game 3, Dollander's already thrown. Ace is already thrown for Southern Miss. We're getting in the back end of the bullpen. You played 2 games yesterday. All right, so you didn't have time to rest a lot of pitchers. Halverson for Tennessee, that they threw in game 1 was throwing absolute gasoline. Even Saudi Arabia was jealous. All right, David, what do you got?
I want Nuggets on the alt line, minus 2.5, but I want to parlay it with the team total points over 106.5. That's minus 120. And then I'm going to take the Rangers to win and the Rays to win in a parlay. That's plus 132.
He's not alt right, but he's trying to get them alts right.
The Nuggets with my bets. Let's go Jokic, under 9.5 assists.
Really?
That's plus 100. He's going to finish the game with 8 assists. And Jokic over 1.5 threes. He's going to hit 2 threes, boys. Both those are dog bets. The first one's plus 100. The second one's plus 128.
All right, Ace Cone. He's going to take the Heat plus 8.5, and he's going to take Southern Miss plus 1.5. Both of those are going off. Excuse me, at minus 110. Well, yeah, just like I told you, my tongue's still kind of swollen from fighting those Lions.
Let's go to Tristan, $5 donation. Appreciate it, Tristan. I made some great Western Carolina barbecue ribs yesterday, but I'm sure hashtag Jake is a spy. Wouldn't have liked him that much. Hashtag
Did you grill them or bake them? Did you grill them or bake them?
Internationally traveled. All right, let's go to Cole Frink, $2 donation. Poll for tomorrow. Who makes better ribs? think we already had that poll, but hell, we'll do it again tomorrow. So let's go to the poll right now. What team is most likely to come back in their series? Heat or the Panthers?
Well, I like this. I think you got to say Panthers. Panthers, I'm going to say 71%.
70%.
All right, let's go to the Heat. Come back 30%. Panthers 70%.
Oh, you hit it right on the head. Wow. We've been so in tune.
Look at that.
Y'all really have. Man.
All right, any donuts we need to get ready for? Are we good? All right.
Good.
Great job today, chat. Appreciate Josh Pate joining us. Make sure you follow us on all social media at Crane Company. Blaine had a tweet this weekend that got like 60,000 likes. That thing is
11 million views.
11 million views.
How about that?
Absolutely crazy. Daily Wire Plus. Make sure you're a member, subscriber. Got some fantastic content there. We really appreciate you joining us. And like the chances of the state of Florida winning either the NBA or NHL title or Stanley Cup, however you want to put it, we're going. Gone.